but today we want to go through something a little more basic and talk more in general about hybrid systems and how you talk to customers about our hybrid lineup. So today we're going through hybrid. On Tuesday, we're doing Prius Prime, and it's the minor change 21 Prius Prime. So there are some changes coming to Prius Prime, all of them good, that you'll want to tune in for on Tuesday. And if you miss any of our classes or you want to watch this one later, please get on our YouTube channel. And these are winners from this past Tuesday's Instagram trivia. So congrats to Carrie Nash and Jesse and Alexis. Your face masks will be coming very soon. If you want to play, we do it every Tuesday after our 9:30 a.m. class, and all you have to do is go to our Instagram page and play the quiz. So this is our agenda for today. Like I said, it's going to be a little more general than we've been in the past. We'll talk about why Toyota is the hybrid leader, why your customer should be considering hybrids. You know, it's not just about the great MPG or the great incentives. There's a lot of reasons for your customers to look at our hybrid lineup and purchase. We'll talk a little bit about how it works, what are the components. So if you get those slightly more technical questions for your customers, or they just want an explanation of how our hybrid system works, we're going to help you out with that today. We'll review our hybrid lineup, which is extensive and the best in the industry, and then finally talk about those misconceptions people may have, which may steer them away from considering hybrids in the first place. So Toyota is the hybrid leader. And we introduced that original Prius all the way back in '97 in Japan. So if you do the math, that's 23 years ago. That's pretty incredible. And in that time span, we've sold over 15 million hybrids worldwide. That's more units than a lot of vehicle brands have sold total in that time period. So that's impressive. So we do have the experience. Currently, we sell 10 different vehicles, hybrid vehicles, with 35 different trim levels. Now, last week we may have mentioned 8 different vehicles in the US, but if you think of the RAV4 Prime and the Prius Prime as separate vehicles, we do have 10 that we offer. So within that 35, there's got to be one that fits your customer's budget, their feature list, and what they need a vehicle for. So we're in our 4th generation of hybrid systems, and at Toyota, we use the system of Kaizen to continuously improve our products, and everything about the hybrid system has changed over those 4 generations and has improved. All of our new hybrids are on the TNGA platforms, which, as you know, are lighter, which helps with fuel efficiency, but also you get better handling. So all of our hybrids are fun to drive. They handle great. So make sure your customers test drive our hybrid vehicles. And again, as part of that Kaizen system, we've made our hybrid vehicles actually some of the most reliable Toyotas you can buy today. And of course, there are the incentives. So a lot of times customers are swayed by the deal they can get, and there's not a better time to buy a Toyota hybrid than now. So regardless of what hybrid you're looking at, there's either great financing, customer cash, or a fantastic lease. So take a look at those hot sheets and review the hybrid incentives, and make sure your customers are aware that they can save a lot of money, and in some cases the hybrid is the better value over even our gas Toyota vehicles. So let's start off pretty basic with what is a Toyota hybrid. So hopefully you know that a hybrid means that a vehicle uses 2 different power sources. So a gasoline engine in this case, an electric motor system to directly move the vehicle. And it's technically a parallel hybrid system. So you may have customers asking, what type of hybrid is it? Is it a full hybrid, a mild hybrid, a parallel, a series? Well, ours is a full parallel hybrid system. So some of the benefits, and again, customers know MPG, right? That's an obvious benefit of buying a hybrid, and it's right there on the window sticker in big numbers. And over the course of owning a vehicle, you can actually save thousands of dollars in fuel costs. But what they may not know is hybrids offer surprising performance. right? The torque from the electric motors gives you good off-the-line acceleration and good passing power. What they may also not know is that there is less maintenance and lower repair costs in a lot of cases. We'll talk about that later. Obviously, fewer trips to actually go fuel the vehicle, and a great driving range. So one of the things we focus on with our hybrids is the great driving range that you get because of the great MPG. So anywhere from 400 to 500, over 600 miles on a single tank of fuel. That's class leading. Lower emissions. Right? We don't always focus on this, but people still do care about the environment and want to know that they're doing their part to reduce their carbon footprint. So buying a hybrid is a great way to do that. You burn less fuel, which is less carbon emission into the environment. And then we mentioned incentives, but there are other perks when you buy a hybrid. Sometimes you get access to HOV lanes that you may not normally get. Also, maybe discounts on your Easy Pass. And then federal tax credits for vehicles that are plug-in. So we have 2 plug-in hybrids that qualify for really great federal tax credits, which Jeremy will talk about a little bit later. So let's get into what makes it work, the components, and maybe how they work together to make this hybrid system work and make the vehicle super efficient. So obviously we have the 2 sources of power, number 1 being the gas engine, number 2 being electric motor generators, and there are multiple motor generators in the vehicle. We have something called the power split device. It's the thing that takes the place of an automatic transmission. And if you're not aware, an automatic transmission is made up of over 1,000 individual parts. It's a very complex piece of machinery. It needs maintenance. If you own the car long enough, you may have to replace it. It's a complicated device. And we replace it in our hybrids with a very mechanically simple device called a power split device. I'll show you where that is on the car in a second. Of course, we have a high voltage battery, which stores the electricity to run the hybrid electric part of the system. And then there's also a unit called the power control unit. That's really the brains of the system. It houses all of the electronics that make the hybrid system work, and it's really the genius of the hybrid system. So this is what the hybrid system looks like. Of course, you know what a gas engine looks like. You've seen that, number 1 there. But the power split device, which is labeled number 3, is actually composed of planetary gear sets and 2 electric motors and motor generators. So that's what takes the place of a normal transmission in the hybrid vehicles. And sitting right on top is the power control unit. So all of these components are right up front in our vehicles. You may lift up the hood and think, oh, that just looks like a regular gas engine, maybe with some extra parts on the side. So that's what you're looking at when you typically open the hood. It's the gas engine, and you can see the power control unit. So this is really what makes the hybrid system work. And of course, the battery is located in the rear of the vehicle, and pretty much all of our hybrids have it relocated under the rear seats, no longer in the cargo area taking up cargo room, but located very low in the vehicle under the rear seats, which is fantastic. So yeah, if your customers are asking where are the motors? Are they in the wheels? Are they in the back? Well, our all-wheel drive hybrids do have an extra electric motor in the rear. So in that case, they would have 3 electric motors, but all of our standard front drive hybrids have 2 electric motor generators, and they have different functions. So one of them is a drive motor, and one of them is the engine starter, but in our newer hybrids, they can both actually move the vehicle. So what we want you to do is just watch this video on hybrid performance, and Jeremy will talk about it.
All right, thanks, Brian, and good morning, everyone. So the video you just saw, and you're going to see another one later, it is available on the Engage website, so you can refer to that, or you can search for it on the Toyota USA YouTube page. So those videos are available, multiple sources, and you can also download them if you wanted to and save them to your desktop. Let's switch gears and let's talk about not so much what makes it go, but let's talk about what makes our hybrids stop. Now, they do have conventional braking systems. So you've got your disc brakes, which you would have on any vehicle. But hybrids are a little bit unique because they have a more primary source of braking, which is really the electric motors that turn into generators when you press the brake pedal. And we refer to this as regenerative braking. And what happens as these generators are generating electricity to charge the battery pack, it's also slowing the vehicle down. So another benefit of that, besides free electricity that charges the battery, is the fact that your brake pads aren't used that often, only under more severe harsh braking and at very low speeds. That means your brake pads last a really long time. Now, how long do they last? Well, it just depends on how you drive. It's not uncommon to see a customer come in with 100,000 miles and still have the original brake pads on. The power control unit, which is usually the box. When you open up the hood of one of our hybrids, you'll see a box kind of on the right side under the hood, and it may have different names on it. It may just say Toyota or hybrid, but that is the power control unit, and that power control unit is kind of where the magic happens electronically under the hood. It is a converter, so it converts the AC current that the electric motor and generator will either use or generate to charge the battery. And of course, batteries store the electricity in DC voltage. So you've got to make that AC to DC change, and that's where that happens. And it's also kind of responsible for the charging of the battery and converting that high voltage battery pack electricity into 12 volts to run all your accessories in the vehicle. So your lights, your radio, and all those 12-volt accessories that you'd normally have in a vehicle. So regenerative braking, obviously, it's a great feature because it not only charges the battery, but it also reduces your brake wear. And it's something that is kind of unique to a hybrid vehicle. Now, Brian mentioned that some of our all-wheel drive hybrids have an electric motor in the rear, and most of them, we call it electronic on-demand all-wheel drive. And that electric motor will power the rear wheels when needed, so it's not always powering the rear wheels, but it kind of works like our dynamic torque control system on our gas-powered vehicles. So when we need power to the rear wheels, whether maybe we're accelerating quickly or we've lost traction with the front wheels, we can send anywhere from 0 to 80% of the torque to the rear wheels through that electric motor. And the other thing that electric motor does in the RAV and Highlander is it will go ahead and act as a generator when braking. So you get two generators in our all-wheel drive RAV and Highlander that will go ahead and charge the battery quicker and makes it a little bit more efficient that way. Now, hybrid drive modes, you'll see this on all of our hybrids, and you may have had some questions in the past. Customers aren't sure, what is it for, when should I use it? But as in any of our vehicles, we have an eco mode. And the eco is simply going to run a little bit more efficiently so you can maximize your fuel economy. And it does things by kind of reducing the output of the AC and heat, reduces the throttle response a little bit, but maximizes your gas mileage. Now our hybrids are unique because they have an EV mode. So EV is electric vehicle mode, meaning that the gas engine doesn't run. In order to use this mode, there are a couple of parameters that you have to meet first. The battery has to have sufficient charge. So if it's fairly low, you've been using electric driving a lot, it may say it's unavailable due to the state of the charge of the battery. But if the battery is charged and you press the EV button, it will operate in just electric mode as long as you don't exceed 25 miles an hour. So it's kind of a low speed mode. You have to be going 25 or less. And the range is quite small in our hybrid vehicles. It's usually a mile or less, so depending on how you're driving. But it is something that you can utilize from time to time, maybe in traffic, a parking garage, or things like that. Now the power mode is kind of the opposite of eco. It's not going to give you good gas mileage, but it will give you more power. So if you're merging onto the interstate and you really want to get up to speed quickly, then go ahead and hit that power mode. And what it's going to do is increase the throttle response. And through that power control unit, it will up the voltage from the battery pack to give the electric motors even more voltage, so they have even more torque and more power to accelerate you that much quicker. Of course, you lose a little bit on the fuel economy side when you engage that mode, but it certainly does make the vehicle pretty peppy and a lot more fun to drive. Now on the plug-in hybrids, they have a couple of buttons that you may have not seen before. One of them is Auto EV HV, and kind of just like it sounds, it's automatically switching between electric vehicle operation and hybrid vehicle operation. So that's something you can just put the vehicle in, and it's going to choose. The computer will determine what's best for your driving conditions. Are you in traffic and low speed? Well, probably electric mode is the way to go. Or are you cruising on the highway at 65, 70 miles an hour? Well, probably the hybrid mode is a little bit more efficient on the highway. So it will switch automatically for you. Now, if you want to be able to control when you drive in electric mode or when you drive in hybrid mode, you can do that with the HV-EV button. Simply by toggling that button, you can switch whether you want to use EV at any given time, or maybe you've charged the vehicle and you want to save that electric driving range for later, because you know you're going to be in the city later, but now you're just going to jump on the highway, so you can just select hybrid vehicle operation. So those two buttons you'll only see on the Prius Prime and the RAV4 Prime. And I know we always talk about our battery warranty, but this is something new for the 2020 model year. We did increase the hybrid battery warranty for 10 years or 150,000 miles. And of course, the hybrid components, the rest of those components, are going to be covered for 8 years or 100,000 miles. What's great about our warranty is it's always transferable to the next owner. Unlike some of your competitors, which their warranty is only good for the first owner, this is a transferable warranty and goes with the vehicle. So the next owner can take advantage of that. And it adds a little bit more value to the vehicle as well. And of course, the batteries are designed to last the life of the vehicle, so it's not something that customers should ever be concerned about changing the battery. Now let's take a quick look at a video on hybrid maintenance. All right, and just a couple other things on the maintenance. Just keep in mind there are a lot of components that Toyota hybrids don't have that other vehicles do, gas vehicles or even other hybrid competitors in the market. Things like belts. We don't have belts under the hood anymore, so we got beltless engines, right? There is no starter on our hybrid vehicles, right? It uses the electric motor to start the engine. There's no alternator. So there's a lot of those typical components that you would have and that people realize that probably if I own the vehicle long enough, I'm going to have to replace that. Well, they don't exist in our hybrid vehicles, and so that's why the maintenance cost, the overall cost of ownership is much lower. And of course, the number of times you'll have to have the vehicle in for repair is reduced as well. Now let's take a look at our lineup. So in terms of sedans and one liftback with the Prius, we've got a pretty comprehensive lineup of vehicles in the Toyota hybrid lineup. But let's take a look at the Prius. Now we currently have 5 different grades of the liftback Prius. or technically 6, I guess. The LE Eco, LE, XLE, and Limited, those are all front-wheel drive models, and then we add the all-wheel drive LE and XLE as well. The Corolla currently comes only in the LE grade, and then we've got 4 grades in the Camry. So starting with 2021 Camry, we not only have the LE, SE, and XLE grades, which we have an all-new XSE grade in the hybrid lineup. And of course, Avalon, XLE, XSE, and Limited grades in that as well. Now let's switch gears to our crossovers and vans. So RAV4 Hybrid, LE, XLE, XSE, and Limited. Keep in mind, the only way to get an XSE is with the hybrid grade. There is no gas version of that. So why did we only make the sporty kind of performance grade a hybrid? Because the hybrid powertrain is the most powerful in the RAV4. And soon you will be getting your first 2021 Venzas, and those will be 3 grades, LE, XLE, and Limited. And later this year, you will get the all-new hybrid-only Sienna, right, with the grades like the LE, XLE, XSE, Limited, and Platinum. So an all-new XSE grade within the Sienna lineup to kind of go along with our other XSE grades throughout the Toyota lineup. And Highlander, we launched just at the beginning of the year, so LE, XLE, Limited, and Platinum grades in that as well. Let's not forget, we still have 2 plug-ins. So the Prius Prime, with that $4,502 tax credit available, comes in 3 grades, LE, XLE, and Limited. And very, very soon, you will be getting your first RAV4 Primes. And those will come in 2 grades, only sport grades, because of the performance of that vehicle. It is, keep in mind, behind the Supra, will be the fastest Toyota vehicle in our lineup. So why do we only offer the Prime in an SE and XSE sport grade? Because it's very powerful, right? It is one of the more performance-oriented vehicles in the lineup, and it's going to come with that $7,500 tax credit as well. So a couple of myths we can kind of debunk. The #1 rejection reasons of hybrids: people think you have to plug them in, and they don't want to. Well, we know that's not true. You can't even plug in one of our hybrids. Now, you can plug in one of the primes or plug-in vehicles, but the great thing about those vehicles, if you don't want to plug them in, you don't have to. They will still run on gas and still get very, very good fuel economy. They're complicated and unreliable. Just the opposite is true. They operate just like a regular gas-powered vehicle for the most part, the way you start and drive them, and they are typically more reliable than the gas counterparts or other gas vehicles in the segment. Slow and all about MPG, well, they are about MPG, but they're not always slow. And in fact, some of the vehicles in our hybrid grades have better performance than their gas equivalent, like RAV, Corolla. Difficult to drive and maintain. There's actually less maintenance to do on our hybrid vehicles. Expensive and don't pay off. Well, yeah, maybe there was a time initially when hybrids seemed a little bit more expensive over a gas vehicle, but now usually your premium is around $1,000, and of course you can make that up in just fuel cost alone, plus you got maintenance that you'll have less expense for, and some of our incentives even make these vehicles seem more valuable than even the gas counterpart. And of course the batteries don't last and they're expensive to replace. Well, the batteries are designed to last the life of the vehicle, and they're warranted for 10 years or 150,000 miles. So you shouldn't ever have to replace them anyway. So what are the benefits? Best-in-class MPG, you can save thousands in gas alone. And surprising performance. So get customers in these vehicles, let them drive it. You know, most of them are going to be shocked that they perform the way they do. Less maintenance, lower repair costs. You know, so if you're purchasing of this vehicle, this is something that people should take a look at, should be concerned with. If you're leasing it, okay, maybe not so much, but then again, you've got Toyota Care even for those lease customers. Fewer trips to the gas station. Yeah, I mean, time spent pumping gas. I mean, time is valuable. People don't have a lot of it anymore. So less trips to the gas station. You've got great driving range. Could be 500-600 miles of range before you have to fill up. For some people, that may be weeks before they go to the gas station. Lower emissions, better for the environment. Yeah, that's kind of why we started developing hybrid vehicles was for the environmental aspect, and that's still important to a lot of customers, especially a lot of young people, because they've been taught in school about the environment and recycling, and they're probably more aware of hybrid vehicles and their benefits than probably their parents are in some cases. And of course the incentives, HOV lane access in certain markets, tax credits on certain vehicles, so and even cities may have their own incentives